Okay, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This morning, we've got Julie Ryan, an amazing lady that has been behind my computer screen for about 15 years. And the opportunity today is to interview Julie. We're going to speak with Julie about a very important situation that has happened to Julie in real life. And that situation goes hand in hand with our loan work safety module in regards to real estate practice. So, over to you, Julie. Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking the moment to speak with us and the students out there in real estate about what has actually happened. So,
Right.
would you mind sharing your story?
Yes, very much so. And thank you, Emma. And I think it's just so important that really my life was saved by somebody taking the time to talk about the things that we're about to talk about now. And so, probably if I could just preface it by saying you can save your own life by taking this information seriously. And so I'd encourage everyone to do that. So perhaps starting at the beginning, I had a call into the office from a gentleman wanting to look at a property that was very close to our real estate office. I seriously could have walked there. The property was vacant, but staged and looked lived in. Nevertheless, I didn't feel comfortable meeting at the property. There wasn't any particular reason why. I just sort of thought, no, I'll have him come into the office first. I thought, well, if he's a baddie, he's not really going to want to do that. So he came into the office and it was winter. And so we're walking out to the car at about 5:15, so getting pretty close to dark. Seriously, the only time and the only mistake I believe I made happened right then, because just as I walked around the front of my car, I had this feeling that something was very wrong and that I should go back into the office.
Like a spidery feeling of your body.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I'm getting the goosebumps thinking about it now. But the feelings can be quite strong in the same way as you can feel a giant sneeze coming on. Nobody else can see that, but you can feel it. So it was very strong feeling, but I overrode it. I said, don't be silly. It's quite close to the office. People know, people have seen this person. He wouldn't have come into the office if he'd intended something bad.
Okay.
It's a busy time of day. It's close to Moggle Road, which is a very busy road, very busy. And so I felt that the presence of other people was what was going to be okay.
Okay.
And I overrode my instinct. I'm sorry, because first mistake. Anyway, when we got into the property, he was standing a bit inappropriately close to me on a couple of occasions, but then he started to discuss what parts of me he'd like to cut off.
Oh, really?
So clearly I was aware that this wasn't any sort of normal situation. And he pulled up his trouser leg, firstly on one side, and he showed me there was a knife,
Really?
and she's down his socks. And he pulled up the knife slightly, and it clearly had a lot of blood on it.
Wow.
And then he pulled up the other leg and same. So he's now got two, I don't know, I didn't see the whole lot, but let's call it hunting knife. It's not normal. This is not only getting a knife. No.
Yeah.
And covered in blood.
Wow.
So something has been killed with these knives. So because I was aware that I was alone right there, and that nobody was going to be coming and probably everyone would just go home from the office, I knew that I had to do something to get him away from here. And I also had to be able to contact the office and use our safe word. Our safe word was tiger. And so I did manage to basically convince this gentleman that I was interested in doing what he said.
So to have a safe word, Julie, you've obviously done training in regards to that.
Yes, we'd had an office meeting that was, you might call it more of a conversation, but it was the principal teaching us that you needed to think about your safety.
Okay.
And that why we kept a register of what your car is, make, model, registration, all that kind of stuff, any emergency medical information, but also that we would have a safe word so that if you were ever in danger and you were unable to communicate that openly, then we would use the safe word. And our safe word, our process was we would use the safe word twice. And the person we were communicating to, so if I was telling you, I would use the word more than once, and you would need to say the word back to me for me to know the word got it.
Okay.
And that generally you should be questioning me about the word, and I should confirm that I did use the word is the gist of it. Now, how you weave that into a conversation, we'll see in a minute, but nevertheless, being double, it's a word. You can't have something that's so common that somebody's likely to say it accidentally, but just the same for everybody's security, we don't want accidental uses of words either.
So your word was tiger.
Tiger, that's correct. So what I managed to convince this gentleman of, because what I'd preset in my mind way before this is something that might seem to be contradictory, that I had decided that I was never going to allow anybody to abduct me, that I would prefer to die right there, right then, right now. You're not taking me to a second location.
Yes.
My problem was now I actually needed to go to a second location. I need to get away from here because I'm actually in the unsafe location, and I need to stay calm enough to convince him to come to the second.
Boswell Road, very busy road, lots of traffic going. So
we're in a little side road up from that, but yes, quite close to the Kenmore roundabout. So, you would think that there are a lot of people around. So it doesn't scream you're in a dangerous situation. Nevertheless, I was.
Okay.
So I said to him, look, these people are due home here very soon. Why don't we go somewhere where we can have some proper privacy?
So you're forever thinking, because it was staged at the time.
That's right. So I came up with an address that wasn't terribly far away. By the way, the Kenmore Police Station is not terribly far from this location. And the location I came up with was on Brookfield Road, which is actually quite close to that as well. Anyway, so I called and I got my principal. By the way, I should just finish what I said to him as well. I don't have the keys to the other property, but we don't want to alert anyone else. So why don't I call the office rather than going back to the office? I'll get someone to drop off the keys in the letterbox.
Smart.
That way we can just have some time to ourselves.
Yes.
Anyway, he bought that. Thank heavens. Good. Yeah. And so I called the principal of the office. David answered, and I said, "Hey, Tiger." And he said, "Who are you calling Tiger?" I said, "I'm calling you Tiger." So we had already, so right at the very opening, we'd established. So I said to him, "So Tiger, what I was wondering is if you wouldn't mind, please, the gentleman I've got in the car with me, we would like to," and I mentioned this other address. It was actually a management property of ours. And anyway, so we didn't have keys for it in the office, I didn't think. But anyway, so I made up the rest of it. So I'm just wondering if you could get the keys and drop them off in the letterbox. I don't want you to open the house, no need to hang around or anything. Just pop them in the letterbox and I'll be there shortly. I'm just going to show this gentleman a couple of things. So we'll probably be 10, 15 minutes and we'll be there. Do you think you can get it done in that time? And he said, "Sure, yeah, no problem. I'll come back to you if I haven't been able to do it." So I said to this guy, "We want to give him time, righto? So let's just go for a quick drive," which was extremely difficult to do. But anyway,
yes.
So David called police and said, "One of our sales agents has used our emergency safety word. I've confirmed it with her. She is with a person." They said, "Can you describe him?" And David had seen him. So
he had been into the office.
Yes. So neighbour was able to describe, and they said, we're looking for him right now. We've got cars in the area, and we believe that there's a paranoid schizophrenic having a psychotic episode right now, and he's killed 2 people earlier yesterday down the Gold Coast. So it is an emergency. So David, of course, didn't call me back, etc. But my plan was that because this was on Brookfield Road, which again, 5 o'clock kind of traffic, lots of people.
Yes.
I needed him to decide to stay in the car and to let me get out of the car. So that's why I was thinking key and letterbox. I'm going to be allowed to get out of the car. And so, it was the only address I could think of actually at the time and all that. But anyway, so I got out of the car and I just ran. I did see that there was a car, I think, following me. And yes, it wasn't a marked police car. But anyway, so I managed to literally run away and police were.
Did you get to the actual property? It was just on.
Yes, no, it was like I pulled into, and the house was set back from the road, so the letterbox is right down the front, and I ran out onto the street. So
no time. Let's go.
No.
What happened from there, Julie?
I was taken away very quickly. He was subsequently shot and killed by police. So it's it's a very, it's an extremely bad situation, and this is probably a far worse. Well, it's hard to come up with a worse scenario in terms of somebody that you can negotiate with less.
Yes.
However, the things that saved me was having a way to communicate that, but also it gave me confidence that if I phoned somebody, they would respond, that they would do something rather than, and I think that knowledge, it's a lifeline in a situation like that. Otherwise, my only other possibility that I considered was getting him back out to the car and jumping out of the car, possibly in the middle of traffic. But that could get you killed as well.
It's
so
very messy. And the fact that your office had a register of your car, your make, your model, the colour, it was all coming into the equation, or the loan safe to work at. Because you have heard of a situation previously where somebody has contacted an office. Can you share a little bit about one with us?
So this particular one was while I was a corporate team for LJ Hooker, and it occurred in Sydney, where, again, around close of business, it was just a receptionist left in the office, and somebody came in with a weapon, and it was an attempted armed robbery. And it was right at the time when we were still taking some cash. Some people direct deposited, but not everyone. And so there would have been cash in the office at the time. She phoned her principal 3 times to ask him to come back to the office. But because they didn't have a safety word,
went ignored.
She was found dead the next day. So the motive was clearly robbery. And, often we are in pretty offices and all that sort of thing. People might imagine, that they could do something and they could benefit from something. But also somebody wishing physical harm. That one of the realities in our industry is that, and by the way, this can easily happen to a man as well as a woman.
Absolutely.
But people can see things about us. They can build up an idea in their mind about, what you're like or what I'm like, and all those kind of things. And so those things can be very unhealthy. In this particular instance, by the way, the end summary was that this person hadn't actually formed a fixation on me. It was actually he'd pitched the property as being a good property, and he believed it was vacant. So I had to be really quite compelling to convince him that it actually was occupied.
Yes.
So he thought he had done the research on the property.
But when we look at the lone worker in safety, many times we do open homes by ourselves. We have the back door unlocked, the laundry door unlocked, and we're there standing there by ourselves. So in regards to that, having that understanding that people on the internet, the virtual tours. They can see this all unfolding. But how many moons ago in regards to he's really focused on what he's going to do in that particular.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I think, yes, somebody wanting to do wrong does have additional tools, but so do we.
Yeah.
So having a smartwatch that's tracking your location. So I've got a couple of different apps that are constantly tracking my location, that I know how to make my watch dial emergency services without appearing to do anything. But I also have got Apple AirTags tucked away in places that unless somebody chose to take my handbag apart, they're not finding it.
Yes.
But I also have got a tracker on my car. So the chances of me going missing and somebody not finding me, it's pretty low, actually.
But from experience, it's definitely putting the systems in place.
Well, yeah, and that also, I think what it does for you as well is it gives you confidence to go about your job, knowing you've done everything you reasonably can to think those things through. And it's not just about assaults. That we had a property that one of our sales agents went to where there was a seller, and when she did the walkthrough tour of their property, she was busy talking to somebody else and she didn't actually see the seller, that it was an open the door, turn around and go down the ladder.
Oh.
So, yes, as in an underground. So, look, it was a wine cellar, but it was an underground cellar. Like, you don't walk down there. So it was dark. She flicked the light on. She thought the light was still sort of coming on, like, how fluorescent light will do the little flashy thing. Well, she stepped off and straight down, 6 fractures in her leg.
Oh.
Now, she happened to have a buyer with her, so,
she wasn't alone.
She wasn't alone. But you can trip and fall. Things can happen. Do people know where you are, and do they know how to get help for you? And if you haven't taken those steps to protect yourself, then unfortunately those things can happen. Personally, I think that when you are being safe, they're less likely to happen because you're more in tune with what am I doing, where am I going, who's going to know, how could I be safe? And in situations where it might not be so safe, have a second person there. It's a lot harder to to people.
Absolutely.
Than it is.
People are doing the line worker in pairs, especially in property management. You've got a lot of young people in property management. It doesn't necessarily have to be age effective, but they're going to properties in pairs now for that situation and that scene.
Okay, cool. Now, one of the things that we've done as well in some couple of circumstances, big modern technology, is to actually live stream our tour. We tell people that we're doing that so that they can look at it again afterwards. But we're actually recording the walk around with them. So we're recording, we're live. We're back to the office.
It's absolutely.
So,
Yeah, so what we're looking at there is obviously Julie's adapted with our modern technology, but some of the uses of the apps are amazing. But just having your smartwatch there and the trackers and the information that you put forward to all your team members as well, very important.
And I would still say that for everybody, you need to have a quiet think about this stuff. You need to make some decisions. What would I do? Because the bit that people don't typically talk about is that when you're extremely fearful, and I was extremely fearful.
Very well.
That there's 3 things that can happen, and mostly we talk about 2 of those, and that's the fight or flight. Yes, you want to run away. However, the 3rd bit is freeze.
Oh.
And can I assure you that freeze is the more likely, where you literally feel completely frozen, can't speak, can't scream, can't move, can't do anything, can't think properly. So if you
Get
haven't
past that.
if you haven't told yourself, what would I do in this environment? This and make it's not just a kind of what if thing, but so for example, I have a super clear that if somebody, I don't care, you can have any knife, gun, whatever you want, to my head, I'm killing you if you don't get in the car. I'm not getting in the car. Like I've made the decision, never going to happen because whatever you can do to me here is actually probably a whole lot better than what you can do where you want to take me. And there are things worse than dying. So I'm not getting in car with somebody else under duress. But if you haven't made that decision beforehand, then and you're terrified, people do react differently. But for me, fear stops me. Live cold, and to the point that it's honestly hard to breathe. So thinking and doing anything in a deliberate and concerted way, I'm confident that I would have just frozen there and it would have really been, a ghastly end for
Having a body plan already thought out in your mind, understanding how to move forward from that was a huge thing for you to take on board.
exactly.
Done. Any closing tips that you might have out there for us in industry, Julie?
I just really think take it seriously, decide it, let people around you know, and then go about your job with confidence because you've got every right to be a very confident person. People occasionally like to maybe make some negative comments from time to time about agents, but I like to say that if you think about who has the key to your front door,
Yes.
I'm sure there are very, very few people who have the key to your front door. And over your lifetime, Emma, how many people have entrusted you with the keys to their front doors? Over 40 years, how many people have trusted me with the key to their front door? So we're in a very honourable industry. We deserve to be safe.
Yes.
Spend the time thinking about it beforehand. Have a plan, let people around you know, and then feel great about real estate.
Oh, absolutely. So thank you so much, Julie. I've still got goosebumps while I'm sitting here, actually. But you're an amazing woman, and thank you for taking the time to share your story with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you.